Hello and welcome to today's 5-minute stretch designed for rowers and runners with particular focus on the legs. We're going to start today in a comfortable seat, either with the legs out in front of you with the knees bent or in a cross-legged position if you prefer. We're going to start by circling the wrists just to warm them up a little in one direction and then in the other. Bringing the hands to the knees, take the shoulders in some nice circles now. Again, in one direction first, and then in the other. Bringing the legs out in front of you if they're not there already. The soles of the feet flat on the floor, knees are bent. We're going to wrap the arms behind the thighs and pull ourselves closer towards the thighs. Chest is aiming to compress there. Nose heads towards the knee. Feeling this in the lower back, a nice stretch. You might tighten the grip with the arms to come a little closer. And take a nice couple of deep breaths here, stretching out the lower back. Rolling back up to seated, we're going to come through now to tabletop with the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips, hip width apart. You can also bring the hands to fists if you prefer, if your wrists are feeling a bit sensitive today. From here, we're going to take some nice cat-cows together. We start by inhaling, looking up and dropping the belly. And on an exhale, pushing away from the mat, rounding through the back, finding that cat position. Inhaling, dropping the belly, looking up again. Chest radiates forwards. And then exhale, gaze comes in between the hands. We push away from the mat, rounding the back. One more all together. Inhaling, dropping the belly. And mobilize the spine by exhaling, pushing away here, rounding through the back. Bringing the hands now flat to the mat. If they're not there already, we tuck the toes and take the tailbone high to find downward facing dog. Begin by pedaling the legs, taking some soft, easy movement here. Just letting our legs warm up, stretching down the backs of the legs, and eventually finding stillness with the hips being the highest part here in our triangle. Arms nice and straight, elbows rotating slightly forwards, palms flat on the mat, all of the fingers connected. When you find stillness, we're looking for those heels to press down towards the earth, stretching out the backs of the legs and also increasing our ankle mobility. Let's walk forward with the feet now to meet the hands at the front of the mat. Keep the feet just an inch or two apart and bend the knees generously. Again, taking a bind with the arms behind the knees like we did at the beginning of today's session. We're looking for compression here between the chest and the thighs, really helping to improve our flexibility. Now release the arms down to the mat and slowly straighten the legs as much as we can, aiming for the tailbone to align over the ankles, even if that means coming away from touching the floor. So we're straightening the legs here, feeling that stretch down the hamstrings. And then let's bend again, finding that bind behind the thighs, letting the tailbone drop down, almost as if we're sitting on a chair. And release the arms, straightening once more. Let's slowly lower ourselves this time all the way down to the mat, coming back into a seated position, this time with the legs out long. Bring the hands down by your sides for support, and we begin by flexing the toes towards us and then pointing the toes. Flex the toes towards you and point the toes. One more, flexing the toes and pointing the toes. Now bringing the hands maybe just a few inches further forward so they're in line with your thighs. We're going to point the toes and lift the left leg high. Lower it to the floor. Maintain the position of your body and lift the right leg high. Lower it back down. Left leg lift. We're really working the hip flexors nicely here. Right leg comes high this time. One more on each side. And lower. Let's bend those knees, bring the soles of the feet back to the mat, knees are bent out in front of us once more. This time, bringing the hands next to the hips again for support, we rock back into boat pose. So here we're engaging the abs, the chest is lifting, and we've got our shins parallel to the ground. Take a moment to hold this just as long as is comfortable. You can bring the arms out parallel with the legs if that's comfortable and you'd like a challenge. Rocking back onto the toes, let's roll down now with the knees bent all the way down to lying, and bring those knees into the chest to create that same compression between the chest and thighs once more. Hug those knees in tight, wrap the arms around them and bring them as close as you can. We're then going to grab the outer soles of each foot and lift the soles of the feet high to the sky, finding happy baby pose. You can try moving from this straighter leg position into knees in towards the armpits, and then straightening the legs again, really feeling that stretch through the leg. This is our last pose for tonight, so you can bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the earth, take the feet as wide as the mat, let the knees gently drop in, bring the hands by your side, and take as many moments as you'd like just to relax and enjoy the after effects of those stretches. I hope this helps to improve your flexibility, particularly in the legs for rowing and running.